I've got a bunch of new riddles for you, oh great detective. Concentrate and crack them all like nuts. Look at this picture very attentively. One of these people attacked the artist, but can you figure out who it was? The artist started writing the letter K and then another letter, but he didn't have time to finish it. It seems to be an I, so the culprit could be Kitty. But at the same time, it also looks as if the artist simply didn't have time to finish the letter L, which is another letter that can be confused with I. So, if the injured man tried to write the lower part of the letter L but didn't have enough time to finish it, it could easily be Claude, who attacked him. What do you think? Was it Claude or Kitty? Write your answer in the comments. These people seem to be rather strange, but only one of them is a real vampire. Who is it? All of them are drinking something red, but it might be just some pomegranate juice. The girl on the left has a blood red streak next to her mouth, but it might just be smudged lipstick. The man has weird teeth, but they could be artificial. As for the woman on the right, she must be the vampire. Have you noticed that she doesn't have a reflection in the mirror? This couple is about to get married. What a happy event. But not everything is rainbows and butterflies here. One of the people in the picture is actually an alien. Have you spotted this guest from another planet? It's the bride herself. Look, she's got 3 arms. Continuing with the topic of extraterrestrial visitors, you need to find an alien among these athletes. Can you spot anything unusual about them? The guy on the left must be an alien. He's got 2 left hands. Yikes. Creepy. Now this guy seems to be lost and confused. There are 2 doors in front of him, and both ladies seem friendly. But one of the doors isn't safe to enter. Which one is it? It's the door on the left. This glamorous lady is offering the guy a ride, but do you see that strange decor in her apartment? Especially the skull? At the same time, the second woman looks quite disheveled. But despite her messy appearance, offering food might just be a kind gesture. In any case, a ride with a stranger holds more risk than a simple hamburger. Look at these bathrooms very attentively. Your task is to figure out which of them belongs to a zombie. Well, both bathrooms look kinda disgusting, but a real zombie leaves on the left. Do you see that glass standing on the sink in the left room? The zombie keeps his fingers there. Ugh. We've got 3 Miss School contestants here. They look pretty and all, but one of them is actually dangerous. Which one is it? It's the girl in the pink dress. There's blood on her crown. Another day, another monster. Look at these people attentively and try to figure out which of them is a werewolf. The man on the left is just wearing a mask. It's quite obvious. The lady in the middle might have had some kind of an accident, hence the bizarre blue spots on her body. But the man on the right is literally covered with fur, which he is trying to hide with his clothes, but his true nature can still be spotted. A crazy scientist captured Mark and locked him in his lab to use the guy for his experiments. Luckily, the guy managed to get out of the lab, taking along 3 pills. Each of them worked for 10 seconds. The green pill could provide him with regeneration abilities. The red pill could allow him to become invisible. And the blue pill provided him with the ability to fly. To get out of there, Mark had to pass through 3 rooms. One was guarded by a vampire, the second one was protected by a werewolf, and the third one hosted a maniac with a chainsaw. Which pill should Mark take to pass through each room? Mark needs to take the invisibility pill to get past the vampire, the pill enabling him to fly to get past the werewolf, and the regeneration pill to escape the chainsaw. Simon was stuck at a gas station 50 miles away from the city. His car was broken and could be repaired only by the end of the day. Luckily, there were 3 drivers who were ready to offer him a ride to the city. Look at these people and try to understand which car is safe. The driver in the red car is actually a criminal. The police have been looking for the vehicle he's driving. It must have been stolen. The man in the yellow car must be a criminal too, since he is depicted on the wanted poster on the wall. Only that granny in the blue car is safe to ride with. Maria Walker, a rich businesswoman, collected ancient pieces of art. One day, she managed to buy a priceless Chinese figurine. Maria locked it in a safe in her office and went home. But the next morning, the figurine was gone. Police have 3 suspects, all of them Miss Walker's subordinates. The detective asked each of them if they'd taken the figurine from the safe. Beverly said she hadn't been to the office since Monday. Ralph said that he didn't even know how to open safes and wasn't interested in Chinese art. And Vincent admitted that he'd been to Miss Walker's office after her departure, but he only took some documents he needed. Have you understood who the thief was? It was Ralph. Otherwise, how would he know the figurine was Chinese? Mary was a college teacher. It was the beginning of a new school year and 3 new students joined the class. When Mary saw them, she immediately realized something was off about one of them. What did she notice? The guy in the middle doesn't have a shadow. Logan worked as a security officer on a small cruise ship. One day, during a severe storm, he found Mr. Lewis lying on the deck. When the man came to his senses, he said someone had hit him on the head and had taken his wallet. Logan had 3 suspects. He visited them in their cabins. Linda told him she was feeling queasy because of seasickness. She couldn't even get up from her bed. Denise said she'd been watching a movie on her smartphone. And Philip said he'd been writing a letter to his wife. Logan immediately understood who had hit Mr. Lewis. Do you know? It was Philip. Look at his letter. The handwriting is immaculate. But it's impossible to write so accurately during a storm. Look at these elderly ladies. Both of them have gone out for a walk. At first glance, they seem totally normal. But one of them is actually planning something bad. Can you figure out which granny it is? It's the granny on the right. She's got a file hidden in her knitting basket. Look at this explorer. He seems to be in a tough situation. There are 4 tunnels in front of him. The first one seems to be freezing cold, with some perilous-looking icicles hanging over the entrance. The second tunnel looks outright creepy. A giant shark is in the third tunnel. and the fourth pass is covered with molten lava. Where should our explorer go? He should opt for the first tunnel. Have you noticed a rather well-trodden track there? So this way can't be too dangerous. Kenneth was hungry. He found a nice diner that served burgers and bought one. After a waiter brought him his order, Kenneth went to the bathroom to wash his hands. But when he came back, his burger was gone. The guy looked around the diner and understood who had taken his lunch. Can you figure it out? It's this young woman. A dog is sitting at her feet and sniffing the air. If she was just drinking coffee, which is what she's pretending to do, the dog wouldn't be so interested in her. Hey Brightsiders, I've prepared a new portion of mind-boggling riddles. And what does it mean? It's time to put on your detective hat. Let's go.
Yeah.
Jake loved making bets with his friends. This time, he bet that he could put a bottle of water in the middle of his living room and crawl into it. His friends were sure they would win. But somehow, Jake won the bet again. Can you understand how he did it? Well, Jake said he would put a bottle of water in the middle of the room and crawl into it. But he didn't specify if he would crawl into the bottle or into the room. So he simply crawled into the room and won the bet. Now try to crack this riddle. It's nothing but holes tied to other holes. At the same time, this thing is as strong as steel, but not as stiff as a pole. What is it? It's a chain. Dylan was trapped in a basement. The only thing he found inside was a note and a pen. Find the way to get 200 out of 188 with one line, and you'll be free. 5 minutes later, the door opened automatically, and Dylan was free. What did he do? He drew a horizontal line to divide 188. This way, he got 2 ones and 4 zeros. Look at these 4 people in a grocery store. Can you figure out who is going to steal a watermelon? It's the man with a soccer ball. It seems as if he's holding something heavy. It must be the watermelon disguised as a soccer ball. Robert was a collector of unusual coins. One day, the man called the police and reported one of his rarest coins missing. He was sure the culprit was one of his brothers, Frederick or Matthew, who lived together with him. One of them collected ancient books, and the other was crazy about rare stamps. All the collections were kept in the same large room in the house. The key to the room was kept in a vase standing on the fireplace. The only other person besides the brothers who visited the house was Robert's friend Mark. When the police arrived, they found out the room had been opened with the key. The officers also didn't find any fingerprints. Do you know who stole the coin?
Uh-oh.
It was Mark. He was the only person who had a reason for getting rid of the fingerprints. The brothers' fingerprints would be absolutely natural since they live there. Now you have to think outside the box to crack this one.
Yeah.
1 is to 3 as 3 is to 5, and 5 is to 4. And 4 is the magic number. Can you figure out the pattern? The word 1 has 3 letters, the word 3 has 5, and the word 5 consists of 4 letters, but the word 4 has only 4 letters in it. And whatever number you try, eventually you'll come back to 4, and the game will end there. Look at this picture. Can you figure out which mermaid is his wife? Have you spotted a tattoo on the man's neck? It's the letter L. See? And now the mermaid on the right also has a tattoo. It's the letter J. They most likely depicted the first letters of each other's names, so they must be husband and wife. The next picture for you. Which girls are sisters? These two mermaids are sisters. Have you noticed that they have identical moles on their faces? Wow, a race on seahorses? That's something new. But can you figure out which mer person is cheating? One of the guys has a robotic seahorse. See that USB port on its neck? And now look at these young people playing beach volleyball. Can you figure out who's not human? It's this girl. If you compare her with her friends, she's the only one who's not sweating and isn't red-faced because of the heat and exertion. Kimberly inherited an old house from her rich aunt. When the young woman was exploring the cellar, she came across a massive wooden door. She opened it and saw a small room with 3 bags and a note. One of the bags has $1 million and the others are empty. You can only open one bag, so think carefully. Kimberly also noticed that there was a message on each bag. The first bag claimed, "The cash is not here." The message on the second bag was, "The cash is not here." And the third bag said, "The cash is in the second bag." If only one message is true, which bag has the money? The money can't be in the second or third bags. If it was so, then 2 messages would be true. It means the money is in the first bag. This next riddle will challenge your math skills. Add this number to the same one and multiply the result by 4. Then divide it by 8. And you'll have the very first number again. What number is it? It can be any number. You can try it out to make sure. Jason took part in a game show and ended up as one of the 2 contestants to make it to the finals. He came up to the table with 3 cups on it, but only one of these drinks was safe to try. The other 2 were poisoned. And even though a mistake wouldn't cost Jason his life, the consequences would be unpleasant. The drinks were tea with sugar, cappuccino, and hot chocolate. Which one should Jason choose? If it was indeed sugar in the tea, it would have melted completely, but it didn't happen. The cappuccino looks suspiciously green. It's probably unsafe to drink. Jason opted for the hot chocolate and won the challenge. A man was in an 8-story building when a fire started. He jumped out of the window but didn't even bruise himself. How is it possible? The man jumped out of the first-floor window. I was driving along the highway when one of my car tires burst.
I stopped to change it, but when I came back to the car, I saw it had a flat battery. I looked around and realized I was in the middle of a small town. I decided to wait for someone who could help me. Suddenly, I heard glass shatter. The night was very dark, so I switched on the headlights and saw a man with a large bag climbing out of a house. I immediately ran to the nearest police station to report the crime. That's what Mr. Darrison told the police. The detective who was listening to him asked, "And where did you hide everything you'd stolen from that house?" How did he come to this conclusion? If Mr. Darrison's car battery was flat, how could he switch on the headlights? Can you figure out which passengers on this bus are zombies? There are 2 zombies on the bus. This man with a bandage on his neck and 1 ear missing. And this business lady sitting near the window. She's making bizarre growling noises. How about some rebus puzzles? Here we go.
Yeah.
What does it mean? That's how you greet people. Good afternoon. Okay, now try this one. It's progress underway. And how about this one? Ah, this one was easy. It's accelerate. It was winter when an elderly couple finished building a pretty new house. The husband was responsible for the construction, while his wife was a self-appointed decorator. The house looked beautiful. Very proud, they invited their grandchildren to have a look at their work. But within an hour, the kids managed to break several windows. They also knocked down the fence, removed the decorations, and ruined the roof. But the most bizarre thing, the grandparents didn't seem to mind. Can you figure out what happened there? The grandparents made a gingerbread house and invited their grandchildren to eat it. Edward and Stan are best friends. Edward lives with his wife, Leah, and Stan lives alone. Can you spot Stan's house? There's a love note on the fridge in the right kitchen. Therefore, Stan lives in the left one. Edward is furious because Leah cleaned his home office without permission. Can you spot 5 changes? Here they are. A lot of neighbors gather for Edward's garage sale. One of them is a robot. Can you guess who? This gentleman. Stan is visiting a food court and finds 2 similar bakeries. Can you spot 5 differences between them? Over here. What about these burger places? Can you find 10 differences? Here they are. Can you spot a mistake in this menu? Tuna isn't an ice cream. What about this coffee menu? Any mistakes? Free toppings have a price. Stan works in an agency that holds super secret investigations. They're looking for people with superpowers all over the planet. One day, an anonymous user broke into their corporate system where all the data was stored. Stan finds 3 suspects who are capable of such crimes and interrogates them. He asks only one question. What did you manage to find out when you stole the data? Billy says, I haven't done this kind of crime for 15 years. I don't want to go back to prison. Anna says, I was going to steal your data, but I changed my mind. You didn't have any valuable information. Nobody will believe in superheroes. And Liam replies, Bruh, if I committed such a crime, I would have covered all traces. Who's lying? Anna. She couldn't have learned the secret information without breaking into their system. Stan is visiting a fashion show. He received a clue that one of these models can be a robot. Can you guess who? The second lady. She has a USB outlet on her neck. The robot model, Nina, is very famous, and nobody knows that she's not human. Stan invites her to his office. Nina confesses, I arrived from another planet to study human behavior. Unfortunately, someone recorded their secret interrogation and posted it online. Only 4 people were in the office at that moment. Stan questions them. Ryan, the cleaner, says, I was vacuuming the 5th floor and couldn't hear anything. Mia, the manager, says, I'm a huge fan of Nina, even though she's not a human. I would never set her up like that. And the guard, Billy, says, I didn't hear your conversation. I was watching a football match in my headphones. Who's lying? Ryan. Their office is a 4-story building. Nina invites Stan over for dinner. She lives in a big, circular house with a maid, a butler, and a gardener. Nina goes to her room to change. Suddenly, Stan hears her scream and runs to her. Oh no, someone broke into my safe and stole my diamond necklace. Stan interrogates the staff. The butler says he was organizing the library. The maid says that she was dusting the corners. And the gardener says she was watering the roses. Who's lying? The maid. She was dusting the corners, but Nina lives in a circular house. So there are no corners. Stan invites Nina to a fancy restaurant to refute rumors that she's a robot. Can you spot any mistakes in this menu? They confused pomegranate with meat. Stan leaves the table to wash his hands and returns in 2 minutes. Can you spot 5 changes? Here they are. Nina slips and falls on the floor. Now she needs to replace a broken fragment in her body as soon as possible. Stan takes her to a secret lab. They need to enter a 3-digit code to open the door. He starts looking for clues and notices some tips written on the wall. But the last digit is erased. Can you help them crack the password? The digits indicate the points of intersections of the lines, so the last digit is 4. They open the door and enter a spacious hallway. A note on the wall says, "Lab is behind the purple door." Can you help the guys find the purple door? The first door is wooden, but it has an inscription and an arrow indicating that the purple door is on the right. The second door is painted blue and red, so it doesn't fit. Let's take a closer look at the third door. There is purple color under the layer of yellow paint, so the guys choose this door. Nina throws a party at her house and invites Stan. He receives an anonymous message. There's a werewolf among the guests. Can you find this person? The first lady is wearing very long nails, and the second guy has a heavy beard. But it doesn't prove anything. But let's take a look at the third lady. She's trying to hide her shiny yellow wolf eyes under her fancy sunglasses. In the kitchen, Stan meets 3 chefs preparing delicious meals. One of them is a criminal. Can you guess who? The third lady. She's adding glass fragments to the food. Stan calls the police and they arrest the third chef. She confesses that one of the guests, John, bribed her. He asked her to put glass in Stan's plate, but there are 3 Johns at the party. The officer asks one of them just one question. "How do you know Stan?" John 1 says, "I'm a billionaire and I don't do interrogations without my lawyer." John 2 says, "I came here to see Nina because she's my crush. I've never seen Stan before." And John 3 says, "Stan and I went to the same college. I haven't seen him for many years, but today we met by chance." Who's lying? John 1. He's wearing a fake Gucci sweater. It's unlikely that he's a billionaire. The next day, Stan wakes up in a dusty basement. A creepy voice says that Stan can pass through one of these 3 doors. Behind the first door, there's a tank with crocodiles. Jungles full of wild animals are hiding behind the second door, and there's a giant blue whale behind the third door. It can easily swallow an adult human. Which door is more or less safe? Stan should pick the third door. Whales can't survive without water, therefore, it's not a threat. Stan returns to his office and finds out that someone has stolen the most expensive superhero costume from the lab. Only 3 people knew about this artifact and had a key: Mia, Billy, and Rose. Stan questions everyone. Mia says, "I was feeling sick yesterday, so I went home." Billy says, "I locked the office at 10 p.m. and carried my key with me." And Rose says, "I carried out technical testing of the suit in the afternoon. After that, I locked it up and left." Who stole the costumes? Mia. She's wearing a superhero costume under her clothes. Stan offers Mia a deal. "If I write your exact weight on a piece of paper, you'll give the costume back." Mia agrees and gives Stan a piece of paper and a pen. In a minute, she returns the costume. How did Stan do it? Stan literally did what he said. He wrote the phrase, "your exact weight," on the paper. Stan needs to find new investors for his agency. That's why he's meeting 3 people, and each offers Stan a deal. Mallory says, "I used to have unique superpowers when I was little.
but I didn't develop them. Now I'm old and rich, and I want to invest in your lab to help people like me. Cherry says, my parents left me billions of dollars. I want to invest in progressive projects.
And Alfred says,
Look, I can help you develop your agency, but I want to have a controlling stake and hire my own staff.
one of them is a liar. Can you guess who? Take a closer look at Mallory's hand. She's a robot. Therefore, her story is a lie, because robots don't age. Aubrey and her boyfriend Leo lost each other at a concert. He's in one of these toilet stalls. Can you help Aubrey find her partner? Leo is in the first stall. They have matching tattoos. Aubrey and Leo return to the concert. Suddenly, Aubrey notices that one of these musicians isn't real. Who? The guitarist is not real. His guitar has no strings.
Really?
After the concert, Aubrey goes backstage to say hello to the musicians. In the hallway, she meets 3 lady fans. One of them is a werewolf. Can you guess who? The first and the second ladies don't have any shadows, therefore, they're vampires. So, only the third lady can be a werewolf.
Oh.
Aubrey enters the dressing room and finds the singer, Emma, unconscious on the floor. Aubrey calls the police and an ambulance. Officers question 3 suspects. The guitarist says, I left the dressing room for 15 minutes to go to the toilet. The drummer says, Emma asked me to bring her a burger with fries from the kitchen. When I returned, the police were already there. The piano player says, I was taking selfies with my fans in the hallway. Who's lying? The drummer. His hands are empty, so he didn't bring any burgers.
Oh no!
After helping the police, Aubrey and Leo leave the concert hall to go home. 3 taxi drivers offer them a ride, but one of them is dangerous. Can you guess who? The second driver has a hyena in the back seat of his car. The next morning, Aubrey goes to the park for her daily workout. She spots 2 people chilling on 2 benches. One of them is a villain. Can you guess who? The lady is just having a picnic. But take a look at the guy. His magazine is upside down, so he's probably tracking someone. Busted!
Oh no.
Aubrey takes 2 pictures of the pond. Can you find 5 differences between them? Feel free to stop the video if you need more time. Are you ready to see the answers? Here they are.
Oh, yes.
Aubrey gets a message from her friend, Mary Jane. She fell from a bridge today,
Ah.
but she survived. How? Spider-Man saved her. She's Mary Jane, remember? Aubrey goes to visit Mary Jane at her condo, but the local security guard will only let Aubrey in if she cracks this riddle. I get sharper the more I'm used. What am I? Easy peasy. It's the brain. Mary Jane greets Aubrey and treats her to cupcakes and tea. There are 4 cupcakes in the box. One of them isn't safe. Can you guess which one?
The first cupcake is a bit smashed, but that doesn't mean it's not edible. The second one looks fine. The fourth cupcake is a little burnt, but it can still be delicious. But the third cupcake has glass shards on top. Definitely not safe.
Oh, God.
Aubrey returns home and turns on the TV. Breaking news, everyone! A dangerous criminal has escaped from prison, and now he's walking around Aubrey's neighborhood.
What?
Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Aubrey checks her camera and sees two people standing on her porch. Both say that they're delivery guys, but one of them is the famous runaway criminal. Can you guess who? The guy on the left. He hides an axe in one of his trouser legs.
Oh, my God.
Aubrey calls the police, but the criminal realizes her intentions and escapes through the backyard. The police follow him and end up in a parking lot. The criminal is hiding in one of these 5 cars. Can you find him? These 4 cars seem empty, and they don't have any signs of a break-in. Meanwhile, someone's moving in the back seat of the 5th car. Busted! Aubrey is heading home from the police station and sees this scene. One of them is lying. Can you guess who? The vampire hunter is lying. This guy isn't a real vampire. He got scared and his cheeks turned red. Also, he has a shadow, just like humans. Aubrey keeps walking and comes across 3 neighbors arguing about one bike. Whose bike is it? The bike belongs to the red hat guy. The rest are wearing helmets, but his helmet is on the bike.
Oh.
The next day, Aubrey goes to the supermarket. She grabs some food and goes to the cashier to pay. Oh no, her card holder is missing. Aubrey interrogates 3 people standing nearby. Ethan says he was talking on the phone and he didn't steal anything. Mia says that she didn't touch Aubrey's stuff. Her hands were full with her own purchases. And the cashier says that she didn't notice any card holders. Aubrey knows for sure who's the thief. What about you? Take a look at Mia's purchases. She hid Aubrey's card holder inside the kale. Aubrey enters the local diner to have lunch, but this is not a regular boring restaurant. One of these 2 customers is a former mermaid. Can you guess who? Take a closer look at the second lady. She has scratches on her knees. That's because she's learned to walk just recently.
Oh.
Aubrey takes a seat and notices these 2 innocent-looking couples. One of the couples are visiting from another planet. Can you guess who? Take a look at the first table. The guy puts toothpicks in his pasta like salt or pepper. It's very unlikely that he's human. The next morning, Aubrey enters her office. Oh no, someone broke into her desk and stole her laptop. Yesterday, she locked it in her drawer. Aubrey calls the security guards and they question 4 suspects. The cleaning lady says, I only entered Aubrey's room once to take out the trash early in the morning. I didn't touch her desk. The designer says, yesterday I left earlier than Aubrey, so I didn't see anything. The office manager says, I was the first one to arrive today, but I spent all morning in my own room working on an urgent task. And the account manager says, I was having a business meeting in the conference room all morning. Who's lying? The cleaning lady. Take a look at Aubrey's bin. She didn't take out the trash, so her story is fake. Aubrey and Leo go for a walk on the beach. But something is wrong here. Can you guess what? No waves. Aubrey and Leo keep on walking and get lost in a huge maze.
Oh my god.
Can you help them escape?
Oh no.
Here's the only way out. Suddenly, the guys see a curious animal. It has feet but no legs. Which animal is it? It's a snail. Snail foot is a muscle that allows it to move. Aubrey and Leo decide to explore the local haunted house. They enter a creepy hallway and the door slams shut. The guys wander around and find another door with a combination lock. They have to figure out the 5-digit code to open it. Can you help the guys figure out the code? Take a look at these fancy runes on the wall. It's a hint. These are just mirror digits. The code is 1, 3, 9, 4, 7.
Yes!
The guys open the door. They faint because the next room is filled with sleeping gas. After a while, they wake up in a basement and see a drawing of the floor. Suddenly, a creepy voice says, "2 letters are missing here. Guess which ones, and I'll set you free. If you don't, you'll stay here forever." Can you help the guys out? The missing letters are N and N. The guys open the next door and see a bunch of butterflies flying in the air. Can you count the exact number of green butterflies? Seven. Now let's see if you can count the number of pink butterflies. The correct answer is 9.
Oh my god.
Finally, the guys get out of the haunted house. They take 2 pictures for their social media. Can you find 5 differences between them? Ready to see the differences? Here they are. The haunted house has a garden maze. Can you help the guys get out? They should definitely choose the first route. Detectives Tim and Anderson had just been handed the most cryptic mission of their careers. No one at the agency could even tell them where they were heading. All they got was a coded message and a map with only continent names labeled. "Look closely at the map," their handlers said. "Add a direction to one of these continents, and you will get the name of the country where you're going." Can you help them to figure it out? It didn't take them long to crack it. The direction was south, and the continent was Africa, because adding south to Africa gave them South Africa. Bingo! Now they are definitely sure where they're supposed to go. Their next set of instructions would come from an informant during the flight, so they boarded and spotted 3 men sitting next to them. Can you tell which one is their guy? Look, This man is holding a suitcase marked with a small emblem from the detective agency, which, by the way, is the same emblem Tim and Anderson have on their suitcases. This is definitely the informant. They walk over, and he discreetly handed them a slip of paper before slipping back into their seats. The note was supposed to contain the name of their main suspect, but they quickly realized that it was also encoded. Thankfully, Tim remembered an old trick from their agency. Each vowel matched up with a number. That means the letter A corresponds to the number 1. The letter E is 2, I is 3, O is 4, and U is 5. Now it is time to crack the criminal's name. The name is spelled out as Nico Nacho. Of all names, Nico Nacho, Anderson chuckled, but they knew better than to underestimate him. Nico was notorious in the underworld for his crafty disguises and dangerous alliances. When they touched down in South Africa, they found out that Nico ran a restaurant as his cover. A taxi driver agreed to take them there, but only if they guessed which of the taxis belonged to him. Then, he handed him this encoded message. Can you tell which taxi the detectives should choose among these 3? These strange symbols are mirrored numbers. If we cut the upside-down triangle, we get the number 7. Cut the 8 and we get the number 3. Do the same with this weird heart-shaped symbol and it becomes number 2. So the correct taxi is the one that has the number 7327 on the license plate. Tim and Anderson finally arrive at their destination, but there are 3 restaurants on this street, and each one has really bizarre names. The restaurant signs read Okan, Atsap, and Silrag. Can you guess which one belongs to Nico's criminal network? A quick flip of the words told them everything they needed to know. Reading it backwards, Silrag turns into garlic. Atsap is pasta. And Okan spells nacho. Wow, just like Nico's last name. Yep, this is definitely the place. They walked into the shady restaurant, but to be honest, it looked pretty ordinary. So they asked the manager to check the security camera footage from the night before, after the place closed. The manager looked nervous, but she agreed. Then she showed them the footage from 2 different cameras that captured the empty restaurant from different angles. Then, suddenly, Tim shouted, "Wait! Pause here! Play it again!" Can you figure out why he decided to rewind the footage? Both cameras had the same timestamp, but one showed the piñata hanging from the ceiling moving, while in the other one, the piñata didn't move at all. A possible explanation is that the criminals erased some footage, so the video looks like it's paused. And look over there. In this footage, they can see a sketchy door. Something is definitely up with that. Maybe they wanted to hide who went in there. Tim and Anderson get inside that door and spot a staircase leading to the basement. Heading down, the stairs seemed to stretch endlessly. When they reached the bottom, they were confronted by a chilling sight. 3 cages, each containing a captive surrounded by dangerous animals. So the 2 of them got a message on their phones that said, "You can save only one. There is no time to save them all." In the first cage, a person stood stock still as crocodiles swam beneath, their beady eyes watching, waiting. In the second, tigers paced and growled, tense and ready to pounce. In the third, a network of snakes slithered around the feet of the captive, coiling and hissing. Tim and Anderson had to think fast. Who will they save first? Let's see. Crocodiles are not as aggressive unless provoked. The snakes are likely venomous, but as long as the person stayed calm, they'd have a little time. The tigers, though, they were actively circling, clearly hostile, and seconds away from attacking. They had to make a call, and fast. In a split second, they went for the person surrounded by tigers, pulling them free just as one of the tigers roared. But they got the person out in time. Phew! Sorry, but the other victims will have to wait a bit longer to be rescued, because when they looked back, the detectives saw a hooded suspect sneaking out of the basement. Tim and Anderson took off running after him. They chased him hard until the suspect reached a dead end. The detectives shouted, "Stop right there!" But then they realized they were actually the ones who were in danger. But how? Take a look at the floor. There are only 2 detectives, but there are 4 shadows on the ground. That means there are 2 people right behind them. Tim and Anderson froze in fear, but they didn't have time to think. Suddenly, a group of tough guys surrounded them. "You think you can just come in here and mess with Nico's operation?" one of them asked. And then he said that Nico Nacho would see them, but only if they could solve a riddle to prove their worth. He handed them a note that said, "I belong to the month of December, and not to any other month. I am not a holiday. What am I?" What the criminals didn't know was that Tim was a pro at riddles. He immediately realized the answer was the letter D, since no other month has that letter. They finally made it to Nico Nacho's mansion, but their problems were far from over. There was a really angry dog at the door growling at them. The detectives knew they were in deep trouble. Anderson thought out loud. "What should we do? Run for it, raise our hands, or grab a bottle of water?" Now tell us in the comments, what would you do? Got any advice for them? Running or raising their hands could freak the dog out even more, making things way more dangerous. The smart move is to grab the water bottle and throw it far away so the dog goes after it, giving them a chance to sneak into the house. And that is exactly what they do. As soon as they step into the main room, Tim and Anderson take in the decor, glance at each other, and realize something feels really off. What did they notice? See that picture on the wall? That is not Nico Nacho. That guy is the informant. Yep, the one who was on the plane with them. But wait, that makes 0 sense. Can someone please tell them what is going on? Suddenly, a bunch of their fellow detectives burst into the room, clapping and congratulating them. This time, they weren't after Nico Nacho. Turns out, Tim and Anderson's super secret mission was actually a huge prank by the detective agency, because they were celebrating their 100th case. They wanted to mark the occasion with some special puzzles, riddles, and of course, a bunch of very professional actors. 3 expensive watches have been stolen from Mr. Brown's store this year. The police can't help the poor man. He decides to hire a private detective. When Laura arrives, she immediately asks for the CCTV footage from January to December. After watching it, she tells the store owner who the thief is. What has she noticed in the video?
The same guy came to the store several times in April, August, and November. And every time he has a cast on his arm. But no broken bone would need 8 months to heal. Follow the Sun was a very popular travel agency. It sold package tours to the hottest and most exotic destinations. But one day, the police found out that this company helped criminals flee the country. They also learned the exact date when it would happen the next time. On that day, several police officers arrived at the airport. They stopped a group of tourists who were flying to a Caribbean island, but the detectives didn't know the criminal's identity. That's why they had to search the baggage of all the passengers. Look at their bags and say who the criminal is. It's the young woman on the left. If she's going on a package tour to a hot place, why does she need a winter jacket? No matter how fast you are, you'll never be faster than me. I follow you wherever you go. What am I? I'm your shadow. Carl and his wife Olivia had dinner. They ate the same dishes: French fries, some fish, and vegetable salad. Half an hour later, Carl felt unwell and called an ambulance. But when specialists arrived, he was already unconscious. The man was immediately taken to a hospital. Luckily, doctors had enough time to save him. When they figured out what was wrong with Carl, everyone was shocked. The man had been poisoned. But how could it happen? He and his wife ate the same dishes, but Olivia was perfectly fine. Even more surprising, the next day, the police arrested the woman for trying to poison her husband. How come? Olivia made all the dishes not salty enough and put poison in the salt shaker. Marta takes 6 ice cubes from the freezer and puts them on a plate. She removes 2 of them and adds another ice cube. She waits for 20 minutes and puts them all back in the freezer. How many ice cubes are left? Just 1, but it won't be exactly a cube. All the ice cubes will have melted and, placed in the freezer again, will form one large chunk of ice. Joe texted his friend Randy. He needed some advice. Joe wrote, "My girlfriend took my professional camera without asking permission, and then she accidentally smashed it. What should I do?" The answer was bizarre. At first, Joe didn't think he wanted to follow this advice, but a bit later he decided it was the best course of action. What was the advice? Forgive and forget. Someone broke into Samantha's house through the window and stole some valuable things. When the police came, she told them she suspected her younger brother Sam. The police officers went to question the guy, but he denied everything. "I was playing basketball several days ago and broke my leg. As you can see, it's in a cast now. It's hard for me to even leave my house." The police officers left, but the next day, one of them saw Sam near his house. The guy was still wearing the cast, but the officer immediately arrested him. Why? When the police visited Sam, the guy had a cast on his right leg. Now it was on his left leg. A farmer only has goats, sheep, and horses on his farm. At the moment, they're all horses but 5, all goats but 4, and all sheep but 3. How many of each animal does the farmer have? There are 3 sheep, 2 goats, and 1 horse on the farm. Altogether, there are 6 animals. Police officer Cheryl Adams was walking along the river, taking some pictures she needed for a case, when a man crashed into her. They both fell to the ground. After helping Cheryl to her feet, the man started to apologize. Someone had stolen his wallet and he was trying to catch the thief.
I was painting my boat and my wallet was lying next to me. But then I got distracted. And when I turned back, the wallet wasn't there anymore.
Cheryl understood that the thief couldn't have gone far. They ran to the nearby pier. There were 4 people there. After looking at them attentively, the police officer knew who the thief was.
Yes!
Now, it's your turn to figure it out. It's the man who's talking on the phone. There's some green paint on his left pant leg. Damien was at work when he found out he'd won the lottery jackpot. He told his accountant he wanted to give half of this money to his best friend, Logan. But random people started to show up in the office, calling themselves Logan to deceive the accountant and get the money. Can you figure out who the real best friend is? It's the guy wearing a matching bracelet with Damien. Look at these prisoners. Can you figure out who's planning to escape? It's the most innocent-looking guy, reading a book. In the corner of his cell, we can see a pile of dirt. He has already dug a hole, planning to use it to escape. Sandra's boyfriend went on a business trip to New York. Soon, the girl got a weird text message from him. It looked like this. What did Sandra's boyfriend want to say? The message means, "Unhappy without you." A woman went out of the airport terminal. She hailed a taxi and gave directions to the driver. As soon as they drove off, the woman started to talk. Her chatter annoyed the driver. He turned to her and said, "I can't hear what you're saying. I'm almost deaf." The woman didn't open her mouth for the rest of the ride. Only after she got out of the taxi did she realize the man had lied to her. How did the woman understand it? If the driver had hearing problems, he wouldn't have been able to follow her directions. Dylan was an extremely popular guy in his office. Tall, handsome, funny, and friendly. But there was one thing that made certain people dislike him. The man had a new girlfriend every month. That Friday, Dylan came to work very happy. He had finally bought the car of his dreams. At lunchtime, he went to the parking lot to check on his new toy. Oh no, his car was a mess, scratched and covered in paint. Dylan called security. He had 3 suspects, all of them his exes. Andrea said she didn't even know that Dylan had gotten a new car. Catherine answered she'd been preparing a report for their boss and hadn't left her desk. And Mila told the guy that she'd forgiven him long ago. Who ruined Dylan's car? It was Catherine. She has some paint stains on her skirt, and the color is the same as the paint on the man's car. Emily was standing on one side of the river, and Anna was on the other. Anna shouted, asking Emily to come and meet her, and Emily did that. There was no bridge across the river, but the girl crossed it anyway, without even getting wet. How did she do it? The river was frozen. One guy was going to Disneyland. At one point, he arrived at a crossroads. There was a sign there. Blueville, right. Disneyland, left. The guy stood there for a while and then, terribly upset, He went home. Why? He thought Disneyland had really left. An orange house is made out of orange bricks. A yellow house is made out of yellow stones. A blue house is made out of blue logs. What is a green house made of? It's made out of glass, of course. Ashley was sunbathing on the beach and decided to swim in the sea. When she came back to her deck chair, she noticed that her stuff had been stolen. Ashley called security and they found 3 suspects. Each of the suspects pleaded innocent. Who's guilty? Remember the footprints on the sand? Ashley was barefoot, so one set of footprints is hers. Among the suspects, only one guy is wearing flip-flops. He must be guilty. We're given these things at least 2 times in our lifetime. The first 2 times are always for free, but if you want to get it for the 3rd time, you'll have to pay for that. What is it? These are teeth. Now, this one is to test your eyes and logic at the same time. Can you tell me the number of the parking spaces where the car is parked? It's the question of the point of view here, so instead of reading it from left to right, change the angle and you'll see the numbers 86, 88, 89, and 90. Therefore, the number of parking spaces is 87. Kelly stands on one side of a river and her cat somehow ended up on the other. Kelly calls her cat, but you know, these guys aren't into water and swimming in general. However, the cat immediately crossed the river without getting wet, and there were no boats or bridges. How? The river was frozen, so the cat just walked on the ice. Ed went to a bizarre museum. Rumor has it that some of the paintings are hiding real people and even monsters behind the frames. Look at this exposition and find what painting Ed should stay away from. That's the painting of Frankenstein. He's real, as he's the only one who sticks his hands out of the picture. The rest of the monsters are just paintings. In 1890, Jeremiah was 15 years old. Strangely, in 1895, he was 10 years old. How is that possible? Thing is, Jeremiah was born in 1905 BCE. The calendar worked the other way around back then. Luke had a very strict math teacher. One day, when he wasn't on his best behavior, the teacher got angry and said he would send him to a detention room. Luke asked the teacher not to do this, and the teacher said he wouldn't if Luke managed to prove an equation. The equation was 8 plus 8 equals 4. Can you help Luke out? I gotta admit, the teacher cheated a tad bit. It's not about math, but about logic. 8 a.m. plus 8 hours equals 4 p.m. Luke, you'd better behave. Paul asked Mary out multiple times, but she kept refusing his invitations. One day, she said she'd agree to go out with Paul, but it should be at a place that's 3/7 chicken, 2/3 cat, and 2/3 goat. Where does Mary want to go? Seems like Mary's never been to Chicago. Emily told her husband, Jay, that she wanted to invite her friends to dinner at their house. Jay asked how many friends she was going to invite. Emily said that they're all brunette, but 2. They're all red-headed, but 2. And they're all blonde, but 2. So, how many friends does Emily want to invite? She could have simply said she wanted to invite 3 friends, but she loves riddles. Alright, this one went viral on the internet some time ago. If you've missed it, let's crack it right now. I met a man on the London Bridge. He tipped his hat and drew his name. In this riddle, I told you his name. What's his name? His name is Andrew. You just needed to combine the 2 words from one of the lines of the riddle. The savannah was on fire. 3 lions and 3 zebras fled to save their lives. To escape the fire, they need to cross a river swarming with crocodiles. There was a raft nearby that can carry 2 animals on top at a time, and it needs to be at least 1 lion or 1 zebra on board. Also, the lions can't outnumber the zebras on either side of the river, even for a moment. How can all of them safely cross the river? First, a lion and a zebra should cross the river. The lion stays on the other bank, and the zebra goes back. For the second crossing, the 2 lions take the raft, but only one of them stays on the other side. 1 lion returns. Next, 2 zebras cross the river. To send the raft back, there should be a lion and a zebra on it. Now, there's a lion and a zebra on the safe bank, and 2 zebras and 2 lions on the bank that's on fire. For the next crossing, 2 zebras take the raft. Now, all the zebras are safe and the lion can bring his friends one by one. Mr. Collins is a math professor. He wanted to make it simpler for his students, so he suggested an idea. Whoever can solve the problem he gives does not have to take the exam at the end of the semester. The problem was, how can the number 5 be half of 4? Can you solve it? Well, to solve the problem, you need to use Roman numerals and not Arabic as we typically do. In Roman numerals, IV stands for 4 and V stands for 5. Seems like 5 is indeed half of 4 according to this logic. This one is a bit tricky, so be alert. First, think of the color of the cloud. Then, think of the color of the snow. And finally, think of the color of a bright full moon. Now answer quickly, what do cows drink? Yeah, it's not much of a riddle, but rather a psychological trick. It's water, not milk. You see, you were fixated on the white color from the start, and the association with cows made you think of milk. If you answered water instead, congrats! Your brain can't be tricked easily. 3 different doctors said Michael is their brother, but Michael says he has no brother. Who is lying? Actually, no one's lying. The 3 doctors are Michael's sisters. Amy and Parker were walking in the woods when they saw an old hut. They walked inside, but the door they entered suddenly disappeared. Instead, 3 new doors appeared. Behind the first one, there were venomous spiders. Behind the second door, arrows were flying across at head height. At the third door, hit a 30-foot drop. Which door leads to freedom? They should choose the second door. They don't need to walk, they can simply crawl under the arrows. Jennifer had to go to the hospital the other day. Walking along the corridor, she spotted 3 doctors. One of them seemed suspicious to her. Why? Look at the doctor on the left. He's got wolf eyes and teeth, and there's no badge on his uniform. I wouldn't let a werewolf examine me. Patrick met a stranger yesterday, and he immediately knew who he was. He hadn't seen this person before, and no one had ever described him to Patrick. This person wasn't a celebrity, and he wasn't doing anything unusual. How come he knew who he was? The man was the twin brother of Patrick's friend.
Hey there, kiddo. Time to shake the rust off your magnifying glass and put on your detective hat. Yeah, you look good in it, trust me. Ready? Let's go. Luke took part in a scientific experiment, but something went wrong. He ended up in a place where there was nothing but 3 portals. One of them led to a polar desert in Antarctica. The second one opened into a volcanic crater filled with molten lava. And behind the third portal, there was the dinosaur age, with huge diplodocuses roaming around. Which portal should the man choose? Luke would freeze in no time in a polar desert. Molten lava isn't even an option. But diplodocuses are totally harmless to people. They only eat plants. Luke just needs to stay out of their way. Martin was playing tennis with his friend David. At one point, he hit the ball a little bit too hard. The ball flew into the air and fell down a hollow fence post. The post was quite narrow, and the ball barely fit there, but still, it got to the very bottom. Try as he might, Martin couldn't get the ball out of the pipe. Luckily, David had an idea. In no time, the guy helped Martin get the ball back. How did he do it? David used a water hose lying nearby. He filled the pipe with water, and the ball floated up. Once, a prison guard accidentally overheard very disturbing rumors. Someone was planning a prison break. The guard watched all the footage from the surveillance cameras and discovered that 2 women had been behaving suspiciously. One of them was a former bodybuilder, muscular with short hair and covered in tattoos. The other was quiet and reserved. She preferred to spend time on her own. After watching the video several times, the guard managed to figure out which woman was planning to escape. Can you do the same? It's the second prisoner. If you look attentively, you'll notice a file in her bun. She can use it to cut through the metal bars. Rachel called the police early in the morning. When they arrived, she told the officers her story. "I work in a museum. Yesterday, I took home several ancient books. I wanted to do some research. But then a blackout happened. I lit a couple of candles and continued my work. Suddenly, I heard the doorbell ring. When I opened the door, someone in a black mask hit me on the head. When I recovered, the books were gone." Detective Anderson arrested the woman for misreporting. Why? If there had been a blackout, the doorbell wouldn't have been working. Look at these photos. One of them is photoshopped. Can you figure out which one? It's the picture in the middle. The kite is moving in the wrong direction. If the photo was real, the kite would be moving along with the wind in the same direction as the flag. Look at these guys. Who is actually poor? The guy in the blue shirt. Both men are looking into the mirror. But even though in the mirror the guy on the left is a seemingly successful businessman, in reality he's poor. A police officer was patrolling the streets on a winter evening. Suddenly, she saw a person in a black mask sneaking out of a house through the window, who was carrying 2 large bags. The officer realized it was a burglar. She ran after the criminal, but they turned the corner and disappeared. The officer understood the criminal had hidden in one of these houses. But which one? It can't be the house on the left. As you see, there are too many people inside. There are no footprints in the snow leading to the house on the right. It means no one has been there for quite some time, which leaves us with the house in the middle. There are 4 cups on the counter, all of them upturned and hiding the same number of sweets underneath. Near each of the cups, there is a sign that says how many sweets are under it. The signs are 5 or 6, 7 or 8, 6 or 7, and 7 or 5. Only one of these signs is correct. How many sweets are there under each cup? Since only one sign is correct, the right number can't appear twice. Otherwise, more than one sign would be correct. It means that there are 8 sweets under each cup. Mark's math teacher was very displeased with how many classes the guy had missed, but he decided to give the student one last chance. If you solve this riddle, I won't inform your parents. You need to write 45 only using the number 4. How can Mark do it? Like this. 44 divided by 44 plus 44. During which month do people sleep the least? During February. It only has 28 or sometimes 29 days. After a bank had been robbed, the police found a bag with money in the park. It was lying among cacti. The police officers arrested 3 suspects. It didn't take long to figure out who the bank robber was. Do you know who it is? It's the man on the left. He's the only one with some scratches. They must have been left by the cacti. You have 5 pieces of a chain, and each of them is made up of 3 links. You have to make a long chain out of these 5 pieces. Welding an open link will cost you $3, and breaking a link open is $1. Can you make a long chain if you only have $15? First, take one piece of chain and break all of its 3 links open. That'll cost you $3. Then, link the remaining 4 pieces of the chain with these open links. Welding these links will cost you another $9. In total, you'll only pay $12. Thomas was a traveler who needed to get to town X. Sometime into his journey, he reached a fork in the road. He didn't know which road to pick. Only one way led to the town. Luckily, he saw 2 men standing by. The problem was that one of them always lied, and the other one always told the truth. But Thomas didn't know who was who. Even worse, the men were quite unfriendly and agreed to answer only one question. So, which question should it be? The only way to find out the right road is to ask the men, if I asked the person standing next to you which road led to town X, what would his answer be? The liar will point in the wrong direction. The man who always tells the truth will also point in the same wrong direction. This way, Thomas will just need to choose the other road. You're going home in the evening. At one point, you turn the corner and everything goes black. When you come to your senses, you find yourself in a locked room. Next to the door, there's a computer with a keyboard. On the screen, there's a riddle. You have to type the correct answer, and the door will open. The riddle sounds like this. It makes two people out of one. What is it? Can you figure out the answer? The correct answer is a mirror. Joanna made a bet with her friends. She had to go to a deserted house in the middle of their town at night. No one lived there, and the house was supposed to be demolished soon. But rumor had it, a mad scientist used that building as his lab. It was about 3 a.m. when the girls saw a large, gloomy building with its entrance door slightly ajar. She entered and saw a huge, dark hallway. Suddenly, someone switched on the light, and Joanna saw a bizarre-looking man in a lab coat. He stood there and stared at her for a few seconds before saying, "Good morning, I'm Dr. Clark." "But you aren't real," Joanna exclaimed. How did the girl figure it out? Even though the scientist had a reflection in the mirror, he didn't cast a shadow. It was a hologram.
Hey there! Today we'll be solving cases and mysteries to maintain safety and order. Are you ready to help? Then let's go!
Yeah.
Here's the first task. A group of cyborgs from a different planet arrived on Earth to study humans' behavior. The police are now tracking them down to keep an eye on everything. So they need to identify all the cyborgs, and they need your help to find a couple of cyborgs in disguise. We're in a cafe, where a group of old-school friends met for a reunion. Who is not really human? This lady right here, the one who's eating with a fork and a nail, this cyborg hasn't quite figured out how life on Earth works yet. Great job, but we have more. What about these guys? Do you see anyone suspicious? This guy right here has purple eyes, so my money is on him. Here's a photo one resident made at a local beach. Take a close look. Which individual isn't a real human being? This one right here. Electrical sparks are coming from him. Okay, this is it with our state. The police in other states and countries will deal with their parts. Now some more private issues.
Yeah.
Mr. McGraw is a single father of 3. Last month, he went on a business trip for a couple of days, and his sons stayed home alone. Old enough, but maybe not wise enough, because when Mr. Jones returned home, he found out that someone crashed their car.
Okay, boys, speak now. Who took the car?
But none of the boys admitted it. Tim said, "These 2 days I spent at home studying." Drew said, "I went to see some friends once, but I took the bus." John said,
I don't even like driving.
"Inspect the car and try to figure out which son is guilty." Look, there's a hoodie left in the car. This is the hoodie John was wearing the day Mr. McGraw left, so he must have caused the accident. This case isn't at all criminal, but someone still needs your help. In a local high school, prom is approaching, and everyone is busy looking for a date. Our main character right here found a note in his locker. Obviously from some fearless girl asking him out, but he can't read the message and doesn't even know who asked him out. Can you help him figure out what's written on the card? It's obviously a cipher, and gladly not the hardest one. Every word is just spelled backwards, so if you put the letters in the normal order, the note will say, "You belong with me. Prom?" There's a name too. It's Juliet. Hopefully our guy will accept the invitation. One of the police stations received a call. A young girl, Allison, reported that her new purple bike, one she saved up for and bought herself, was stolen. Just 1 week after she bought it. The girl asked to help her, and one of the officers was up for the case. She did her research and narrowed it down to 3 suspects. Take a look at them and tell which person stole Allison's bike. It's this mean dude. His bike appears black, but he painted it over its real color. Look, here the paint has chipped a little bit, and you can see the original purple color of the bike. A local jewelry store was robbed. Unfortunately, the police couldn't trace the robber. 2 weeks later in the evening, a city detective, Este, received a call from a farm in the suburb saying that they found something. Este arrived at the farm. The farmer said, "I was working in the field and found this message in a bottle. It's a map. It's about that store robbery. Now I look back, I remember that I saw someone in my field 2 weeks ago. It was a full moon, and I saw a silhouette, but I assumed it was an animal." Este arrested the farmer for further investigation. Why? The story looked legit in the beginning, but then he mentioned the full moon. As you can see, it's a full moon now, so it couldn't be the case 2 weeks ago. That's the moment Este knew that the farmer was making something up. A young aspiring actress went missing on her camping trip. She went to the woods all by herself to prepare for her upcoming role. The first people who saw her, 1 week after she left, were police officers in a police department, where she arrived to report her kidnapping.
I went to prepare for a role and had all the necessary survival equipment. At first, it was all new romantics, but on the 3rd night, I woke up tied up in the dark. It was a man, but I didn't see him. It was dark the whole time. It took me 4 days before I managed to escape. As soon as I was out of the woods, I ran here, to the nearest police department. You need to find him.
The police officer didn't believe her. Why not?
Uh-oh.
The actress says she's just out of the woods, but look at her. She's dressed in style. Her hair looks amazing. That's not what stranded kidnapped people look like, and the detective didn't believe her. A rich young lady was having a party in a VIP club on New Year's Day. Over 200 people were invited. In the middle of the party, the hostess's lover noticed that her diamond earrings went missing.
Oh no!
The police arrived to investigate this delicate case and narrowed it down to 3 suspects. Abigail said,
I'd never steal anything.
Stephen said, "The earrings are gorgeous. Everyone noticed them, but stealing." Cornelia said,
You need to calm down. I am rich.
"Who's your prime suspect?" Look at Cornelia's purse. It's supposed to be an expensive Hermes purse, but the logo is wrong. So, it's a cheap fake. And there's still a tag on her dress, which isn't really rich. She's just playing along to fit in. Someone robbed a bank in a city, and Detective Este was leading the investigation. It was known that 2 people worked on it, but only one of them was caught, Clyde. Clyde refused to name his partner, so the police had to continue their investigation. After months, they had 3 main suspects, Bonnie, Ivy, and Dorothea. Can you figure out who the other criminal is? It's Bonnie. Look, both Bonnie and Clyde have the same snake tattoo on their wrist, so they must be in the same gang. Now let's take a break and train your eyes a little bit. Long story short, Betty is getting ready for a concert and needs your help finding some stuff in her closet. She's looking for a dress, a cardigan, and a red scarf. Here are the exact pictures to help you find the right item. Can you locate them all? Here's the scarf, that's the dress, and look, the cardigan is right here. Good job! Okay, the second and the last item hunt. This is Betty's bedroom. Can you locate a pair of cowboy boots, heart-shaped sunglasses, and red lipstick? Here they are. Did you find them all? Okay, the last one for today. It was a rainy midnight, and Scarlett was studying late in her college library since the hardest exam of the term was 2 days away. At some point, she left to go to the bathroom and grab a snack from a vending machine. When she returned, she noticed that some of her notes went missing.
Oh no!
Apart from the librarian, there were just 3 more people in the library at that hour, so she asked them about the notes. The first student said, "I don't steal, I worry about karma." The second student said, "I went for a walk outside to clear up my head." The third one said, "I was studying, I don't know anything." Who do you think knows something about Scarlett's notes? It's the second student. He said he took a walk outside, but it was raining. If he really did that, he'd be all wet, but he's not.
So, riddle me this. Amanda loved cats very much. One day, she visited an acquaintance and met her lovely Persian cat. Amanda asked her acquaintance how old the cat was. Well, in 2 years, Luna will be twice as old as she was 5 years ago. Amanda nodded and continued petting the cat. And did you understand how old the animal was? Luna is 12 years old. That's an old kitty. Look at these 3 friends. They seem to have gotten into a trap. They're hanging upside down in the air with their legs tied. On the ground, under the blonde girl's head, there are several venomous snakes. Under the head of the girl with red hair, a fire is burning. And on the ground, under the guy, there are a couple of scorpions. How can these guys escape? See that black cloud with lightning? It's going to start raining. The rainwater will put out the fire under the girl with red hair. And look, the girl has a knife tucked under her belt. She can cut the rope tying her legs. And when she's on the ground, she can help the other 2. Hannah was running a marathon. Right before the finish line, she outran the person who was running in second place. The woman was happy she was going to win. But in a few seconds, she got very disappointed. Why? Hannah was still the second best. She was faster than the second person, not the first. Olivia was a secret agent on a mission. At one point during the mission, she had to get into a room with ancient artifacts. But to enter, she needed to choose between 2 doors. In front of them, there were 2 guards. Soon, Olivia realized that one guard always lied and the other always told the truth. One door was safe to open and the other hid a terrible danger. The secret agent could only ask one guard one question to figure out which door she needed to go through. What question should it be? Olivia should ask, If I asked the other guard which door was safe to open, what would he say? Both guards will point at the door that hides some danger. The lying guard, because he's, well, always lying, and the guard who tells the truth, because that's what the lying guard would tell Olivia. So the woman just needs to open the other door. Liza was working as a teaching assistant at a college. One day, she had to look after a group of students who were writing an exam. Liza knew some of them were going to cheat, and indeed, soon after the exam started, the girl spotted one person who was cheating. Who is it? It's the guy in the back of the classroom. He's got the answers written on his ruler. Can you figure out which of these two watches is real and which is just a toy? The watch on the left is a toy. Look at its minute hand. It's too long and won't be able to pass all the way around the watch face. In a small village, there were 4 people who were suspected of being werewolves. One night, the village held a meeting to decide which of them was the monster. Here is what the suspects look like. This person has long, sharp fingernails and is known for being able to run extremely fast. This person has long, sharp teeth and is known for being able to see in the dark. This person has wild, unkempt hair and is known for being able to jump high. And this person has a deep growling voice and is known for being able to smell things from far away. Can you figure out which of them is the werewolf? Suspect B is the werewolf. The description of long, sharp teeth and being able to see in the dark are both typical characteristics of werewolves in mythology and folklore. While the other suspects have unusual traits as well, they are not necessarily associated with werewolves. Joe has a friend, Lucas, who never answered any questions directly. Once, Joe sent Lucas a message inviting him to join their common friends in a cafe. Lucas's answer was kind of weird. Sorry, no money, Jobinjob. Luckily, Joe knew his friend well enough to understand what he meant. But can you figure it out? Lucas meant he had no money because he was in between jobs. Look at this bizarre wedding. What do you think? Why are these people, who are about to get married, wearing black balaclavas? Look, there are cameras on the walls. This couple must be hiding their identities. 3 friends went for a walk in a forest. People said a wizard lived there, and he wasn't a kind, friendly person. But our guys didn't believe these rumors. Everyone knows magic doesn't exist. Suddenly, a wall of fire blocked their way. Look at the things the friends have and try to figure out what they can use to put the fire out. They could use this bucket to bring some water from that puddle, but it wouldn't be enough to put out such a large fire. This hose is useless, there's nothing to attach it to. The friends should choose this spade and use soil to put the fire out. You're in a forest. Suddenly, it starts raining. You notice a cave and hide there. But as soon as you get inside, the opening behind you closes. There are 3 tunnels in front of you, and one of them leads to freedom. But the first tunnel is full of crocodiles that haven't eaten in 2 years. In the second tunnel, there is a hungry lion that hasn't had any food in 2 weeks. And the third tunnel leads to a scorching hot desert. Which tunnel should you choose? You should wait until the desert cools down at night and follow the third tunnel. As for crocodiles, yes, these animals can indeed live without food for up to 2 years. Lions can also survive for 2 weeks without eating anything. But before you get a chance to leave the cave, you hear some deafening noise. It's a landslide. The tunnels end up blocked, but you now see 3 other passages. A fire-breathing, wait, is it a dragon? Is guarding the first passage. The second passage is filled with hundreds of poisonous cacti growing there. Their spines are covered with an extremely toxic substance. And in the third tunnel, you can see the red eyes of some very hungry wolves. Which tunnel can lead you to safety? You should choose the tunnel with the cacti. At least they can't move. And if you're careful, you'll be able to walk around the cacti without touching their spines. One morning, Donna came to the office and found a box of chocolates on her desk. There was also a strange note. Can you help Donna understand who presented her the sweets? Her secret admirer is Ryan. Those are not dates. The number actually means the needed letter in the name of the month. A man told his boss, "Don't take your planned flight today. I had a dream last night that if you do, it might end badly. Your plane will crash." The boss fired the man. Can you figure out why? The man was a night watchman. He should have been on duty the previous night, not dreaming. Jacob and Mark decided to go on a camping trip. Look at the things they're going to take with them and say what they should leave at home. A small hint, try to think outside the box. Look, a tent, game, rice, lamp. All of these words consist of 4 letters. But a chair? This word has 5 letters. The friends should leave it at home. A man went around the world in a ship, and still he was always in sight of land. How is it possible? The man was in a spaceship orbiting Earth. Hannah's birthday is on January 23rd, but she always celebrates it in the summer. Why? Hannah lives in the southern hemisphere. There, January is one of the hottest months of the year. Hey, nice job!
Hey, Brightsiders, your regular brain workout is ready.
Yeah.
Hope you've come prepared. Let's start. Patrick called the police. The man seemed to be extremely worried.
My wife Victoria took our dog for a walk in the afternoon. Several hours ago, our pooch returned alone. I don't know where Vicky is.
The police questioned the suspects, people who were often seen near Patrick's house. Mrs. Summers said she'd been watching TV all day long.
"I was busy delivering mail,"
said the mailman.
"I didn't have time to linger in this area, and I didn't see anything."
And Mr. Thomas told the police he'd been working in his home office. The detective knew at once that one of these people was lying. Who was it? It was the mailman. His sleeve is a bit torn and there's a dog bite on his arm. Plus, do you see some black fur on his pant leg? Victoria's dog probably tried to protect the woman. Peter graduated from the police academy and began to work as a trainee detective. 1 week into his new job, Peter already had the first tricky case on his hands. One of his colleagues was investigating a series of crimes connected with smuggling. She was close to solving the case, but several days ago, the woman disappeared. Peter visited the last location where his colleague had been spotted and found a note. Peter had 3 suspects: Bill, a manager at an oil company, Todd, a jeweler, and John, a car dealer. Who knows something about the disappearance of Peter's colleague? Peter managed to prove he deserved his detective badge. The guy turned the message upside down and tried to read it that way. Surprisingly, the letters made rather legible words. Bill is boss. He sells oil. Mr. White, a rich businessman, disappeared right from his bedroom, but he managed to leave a note. It read, the 1st of July, the 4th of January, the 1st of December, the 8th of February. The police questioned the people who were in the house at that time. Judy, Mr. White's wife, said, "I'm shocked. My husband was always so careful. Sadly, I don't know anything. I was away staying at my parents'." Logan, Mr. White's secretary, told the police he'd been working on the report for his boss and hadn't left his study. And Rose, Mr. White's daughter, answered, "I was having guests. We didn't leave my room. Can you help the police solve this case?" The one behind Mr. White's disappearance is his wife. The 1st of July means the letter J, the 4th of January, U, the 1st of December, D, and the 8th of February, Y. Altogether, it's Judy. Julia came to have lunch in her favorite restaurant. She occupied a table near the window and put her bag on the chair next to her. Once the woman gave her order to the waiter, she went to the bathroom to wash her hands. But when she returned to her table, her bag was open and her wallet was missing.
Oh no!
The waiter told her he had noticed only one man passing by her table. He was short, with a tattoo on his neck. He seemed to go out to the terrace. Julia rushed there and saw 3 people sitting at their tables. She looked at them attentively and soon understood who had taken her wallet. Who was the thief? It's the young woman on the right. You can see a wig and some men's clothes in her bag. Plus, she's wearing a turtleneck to cover her tattoo. Jennifer was late for work again. Her boss was furious. He told the woman he'd let it slide this time if she cracked his rebus puzzle. I'm A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y, Z. This riddle was too difficult for Jennifer. She couldn't solve it and was fired. And how about you? Can you figure out the answer? That's I'm missing you. Got it? There's no letter U there. Once, a bank was robbed. The police suspected that one of the bank's security guards had helped the criminals. A police detective decided to question 3 of them. The first security guard told him he had heard someone shout and rushed there. But by the time he arrived, the criminals had already been gone. The second security guard explained he had been enjoying his cup of coffee at the time when the crime occurred. He didn't even hear anything. And the third guard said that he had run after the thieves, but he had to stop to lace his boot. Without a second thought, he crouched near an emergency exit. At that very moment, the door opened and hit him on the head. When he came to his senses, the criminals were gone. Justin immediately understood which guard was guilty. Who was it? It was the third security guard. All emergency doors open outwards for safety reasons. A math teacher told his students about Roman numerals. After that, He asked them to draw just one continuous line and turn IX into 6. The only condition was that the students were not to lift their pens from the paper until the line was finished. Mark was the first to complete this task. How did he do it? He drew the letter S in front of IX and got 6. Look at these couples. There's something seriously wrong with one of them. Which one? The couple on the right is strange. Look at the reflection in the mirror. It's all messed up. Nick called his wife Lauren from his office and promised her he would be home by 8 o'clock. That day was Lauren's 35th birthday. She had been getting ready for the party for 3 days, ordering food, sending invitations to her friends, and decorating the house. Nick came home at 8:05. He brought a cake, beautiful flowers, and an expensive bracelet. But Lauren was mad at him. Why? Lauren was sure Nick would come home at 8 p.m. in time for her birthday party, but he came home at 8:05 in the morning. Look at this picture. What's wrong here? Flowers don't bloom outside in the winter. How about this picture? Look at that bus. It's definitely a school bus. But why is it green? There are 2 mistakes in this picture. Can you find them? That lady is eating her soup with a fork. And there's a frog on that girl's plate. Yikes! Look at the picture and try to figure out what doesn't fit here. Right, it's the gas stove. All other devices run on electricity. In this picture, you see an artist and 3 women admiring his work. Can you figure out which one is his wife? It must be the woman in the middle. Have you noticed that the artist and this lady have the same blue paint stain on their clothes? And who is this doctor's wife? Okay, this lady on the right is the doctor's colleague. This lady is most likely a patient. Look at her teeth. And the woman in the middle is his wife.
Uh-oh.
Now, look at these werewolves. Which one is fake? It's the one on the left. He's wearing a costume. See that zipper? Mike came to the police station and claimed that he just had a car accident. A police officer accompanied Mike to the riverbank where the accident had happened. Mike told him that he had lost control while driving and the car had fallen into the river. Mike managed to get out of it and swim to the surface, but the car was gone. Now, he needed to write a report to his insurance company. The officer listened to Mike's story and detained him. Why? Look at Mike. His clothes are dry. But if he had gotten out of the river recently, his clothes would be damp. He's probably made up this story to get insurance for his car.